G'day there guys, it's your Aussie Hubby Markee, back at it again with another r/entitled people video. Now if you love me like I love you, then you know what to do. I want you to mosey on over to that old like button and tackle it like Crocodile Dundee. Maybe even chuck an Aussie flag down in the comments. Now with that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and get ready for some bloody entitled people. Now our first post is by user May I Butt In, titled, "Drunken Lady Hits Us with Her Car and Sues. She Wins." This is the TLDR. So English is not my first language, sorry for grammar mistakes, etc. So this happened some time ago, about 4 or 5 years. My mum was once hit by a car next to my house. While we were waiting for my cousin to finish talking with her followers, she's a pretty big influencer, about 40k followers, in an IG direct. As we started pulling out, there was no one in the street. But halfway out comes this speeding car at 130 kilometers an hour. Kid you not, in a 60 kilometers per hour area. And when I see my car pulling out, they hit the brake. It did stop a bit, yes, but it still collided with us and left a dent in our car. My mother had backed when he saw the speeding shit, but couldn't help not getting hit. A woman in her 40s, after collision, comes out and starts berating my mother through her window. I still remember the alcohol smell as I was in the car, and she smelled truly like a bottle of Jägermeister herself. She started spurting out racist comments as my mother is from another place with a thick accent, though she's from the same country, while calling the police. Lo and behold, the cops come rolling and this massive idiot starts complaining to the police in a condescending tone towards us. And every time my mother wanted to explain her situation, she just started incoherently screaming so she couldn't be heard. It looked like a circus, and while my mother was talking to the police officer, who looked like if he was about to hit someone, I went up to talk to my cousin. I asked her if she had seen what happened, and she said yes, as she had seen it in the background while she was in the direct, and was commenting it right now. She had it on the direct, and I told her to save it just in case. Boy, did I hit it right. When the police officer finished with my mother, he just said to pay the drunken lad's insurance. My mother was furious. She was the one speeding. The cop said that he hadn't seen what happened, and this looked like if she had pulled out without watching for anyone. My mother started getting really upset and angry, and started demanding to file an internal complaint, but he just walked away into his car and just went off. I approached my mum just as the drunken lady was spitting on her just out of spite, saying that it was an expensive car and that she didn't know who she was. Of course, she sued. Now, I wasn't in the court date as I was at school, but my mum told me what happened, so here goes. My mother took a duty lawyer and went straight to court. She presented the direct my cousin had done that clearly showed the speeding and the collision. This jerk had tried to sue for damages, no insurance policy, BS, she didn't even ask for it, we do have it, and emotional damage. She sued her for speeding, unruly use of law, damages for the car, racism, and emotional damage. We didn't once said she was drunk as it wasn't clearly visible, and they'd just shrug it off. We got to defend ourselves. Her lawyer did well, almost got us. She said she had been speeding and that she didn't hit the brakes soon enough, but then she opened her mouth. Drunken lady says, "What the frick did you expect me to do, huh? You can't ask a drunk person to do more than that, Jesus. You're just being jerks because you don't have insurance, right?" She lumped back into her seat with a smug face. Her lawyer looked at her mortified, and the judge looked at her with wide eyes. My mother just smiled without believing it. "So, let me put this straight. You were drunk?" "Yes, I just got out from my husband's company meeting." "Do you know what? I think I don't need to hear anything else." My mother won the lawsuit. This lady was a footballer's wife, and they had been at a party with all their team. She was pee drunk, and went in one of their cars, and then hit my mother's car. We won chunk money, and she was sent on probation and some jail time, because the drunken part just added public disturbance, public peril, and negligence. Here you go, some friggin' karma. This bee had it coming. And our next post is by user Alpha Akira. Please don't spray my register. So I'm on a phone, sorry if I have any typos. This happened today about a few hours ago. I work as a cashier. Keep in mind at my store we had to be cleaning the belt and pay kiosks constantly between each customer. I also wear a mask while working to make others feel a little safer, because of the little crisis going on right now. I was checking out people as per usual when a middle-aged woman came up, and before laying her items down, sprayed the belt with a sanitizer spray. Fine, whatever. What I didn't know is that the sanitizer had a very strong smell of cinnamon. Wearing the mask, I wasn't able to smell it right away. I really dislike the smell of cinnamon. I told her that I clean all zones around the register that people use, so there is no reason to spray it, and that the cinnamon is very strong for me. She said she liked it and that she was weird. Well, okay. I hold my tongue, but then when she's paying, she sprays the back part of the register to where we place bags for customers' items. I hand her the receipt and say bye. However, now my whole register reeks of cinnamon and I have an 8-hour shift today. I did my best to get rid of the scent, but like a skunk bomb, there was nothing I could even do with the disinfecting wipes that I had. If you must spray sanitizer, please use something without a smell. People may be allergic and or really dislike the scent, like me who now has to stand in the smell all day. Please be kind to your retail workers. By all means, I would love to be at home with a hot water bottle and blanket right now, but I have to work. Please don't spray my register. Alright, and from that we go to the next post by SheWolfGod1998. Middle-aged woman has a hissy fit because she isn't allowed in the store from 8 AM to 9 AM. I live in the middle of nowhere, outskirts of Lacumba. The nearest gas station is 3 miles, and the nearest 2 cities from me is either 5 miles to the east and 19 miles to the west, and the nearest store is literally 7 miles away north. I had to go to the store for some bread, and I was told by the cashier the other day that I want to get some bread, be there for 9 AM, because it goes super fast since we've been in this pandemic crap. I woke up early and got there at 8:50 AM. I'm sitting in my car waiting for 9 AM to hit. All of a sudden, this middle-aged woman and her hellspawn comes up and stands at the door and reads the sign that is taped to the doors. Dear customers, we will only allow elderly customers inside from 8 AM to 9 AM. We are sorry for the inconvenience, General Manager. So our cast are me, Entitled Woman, and the nice cashier and manager. Entitled Woman says, "What do you mean you will only allow elderly customers in?" I get out and read the sign, and I walk in and go to the cashier. "Excuse me, sorry to bother you, but what's with the sign?" "We want to make sure our elderly customers have the time to get their things before it runs out. Lately, when our elderly customers come in, they complain that we are running out of items and that they never have time to go get them before they run out. That's why our general manager has set a time for them so it will be fair." I smile at him and walk outside and wait, since it was only 5 minutes to 9 AM. The woman was not happy about that. Entitled Woman and her hellspawn huff and walk inside, only to be escorted out by the manager. Manager says, "Sorry miss, but only customers over the age of 60 are allowed inside the store at this time." "But I need to get some groceries. I am a customer of this store. I should be allowed inside anytime I want." "Look, I understand ma'am, but at this time, the older customers need to have time to grab their items before they run out. We are kinda on a shortage due to this hard time and we need to make it fair." "What do you mean need time to grab their things? They're gonna die anyway. I watch the news and it's mostly the old people who die from it, so what's the point? It's not fair to me and my angels." I was getting mad at her pathetic whining. How dare she insult the elderly like that? I mean, all she had to do was wait 3 minutes. Then, an elderly lady walks out with a shopping cart of a few things. The entitled woman grabs the cart and pulls it to her. Entitled woman says, "Would you mind telling me what I bought?" The old lady is clearly shooken up. She just wanted to go home. The manager pries the woman's hands off the cart and apologizes to the old lady. I escort her to her car and help her out her groceries in the car. She thanked me and went on her way. The entitled woman started shrieking about how the manager should have touched her, which she was right and wrong about, and that the old lady is going to die anyway because of the virus, and how he is refusing to move out of her way. It was only a minute to 9 AM. Once 9 AM hits the clock, He allowed me in, but didn't let her in and scolded her for assaulting his customers and making a fool of herself in front of her children. She huffs, calls him a racial slur, then does the whole "you just lost a loyal customer" bit. She calls him another racial slur, but it was the N-word, and I hate that word so much. Then leaves. The entire time she is calling him racial slurs. I could tell he was holding back every urge to smack the woman. And with that story done, we are on to our next story, by user OddRaspberry3, titled "Non-Resident Keeps Taking My Assigned Parking Place." So I live in townhouse apartments. Our parking spots don't have our unit numbers on them, but every lease states that the 2 spaces directly in front of the door of each unit must be left available to that resident. The girl in the unit directly next door, so we share a common wall, is the world's worst about having lots of parties and allowing her guests to take up all the assigned spaces. Right now, I'm dealing with arthritis in my hip. I'm only 26 and no underlying injury, so it's likely rheumatic, and my sister and mum both have RA, but still undergoing testing. I couldn't walk to the apartment dumpsters, so I drove the trash over. I was literally gone 2 minutes or less and my space was stolen. All the spaces were taken. Overflow spaces are farther than the dumpsters, so it was a very long and painful limp back. I've tried notes on the windshield, knocking on the neighbor's door directly to ask her friend to move, even complaining to the landlord. The landlord sent out a notice with the assigned parking section highlighted and posted it on everyone's door. I saw my neighbor literally scoff and ball it up. Now I'm just sitting on a giant ice pack, feeling bitter. What is the management's policy on towing vehicles? One tow should take care of their entitlement. Does your property have courtesy patrol? They could also deal with the offender. We do not have courtesy patrol. I'm unsure what the towing policy is. It's not spelled out, so I'm assuming it's up to our discretion. Might be a dangerous assumption. I would call when the office is open tomorrow. I would also see if you could get a handicap sign installed for your space. You may need a doctor's note. Yeah, because I don't have a placard or anything right now, I didn't want to take it that far yet. Most of my doctors are switching to virtual visits and calling in prescriptions for the time being anyway. You might see if you could get even a temporary placard, because then the police could write the violator a nice $200 to $300 ticket. I like the way you think. I'm in a particular bad flare right now. I'm normally the type to park farther away at the store and push myself to walk farther, even if I'm slow moving. Alright, now with that story we're on to our next one by Nats. Housemates get mad at me for taking care of their dog and cleaning the house. Hi everyone, I'm new on Reddit, but I love to read the stories about entitled people, parents, etc. I myself have a story that fits this category. My first story happened a few months ago. I'm currently in university, and I was looking to move closer to the university's faculties, since I was on a family house area, and besides being much more expensive, it was consuming me too much gas on my car to get to classes, and I was spending money in vain for no reason. When I commented with my course mates I was planning on moving closer to the university, they immediately followed by inviting me to live with them, since one of the boys living in the house was going for a semester abroad and needed someone to save the room for him, since the landlord would make him pay a fee for cancelling the contract. I moved in 1st of February, and since it was still vacation time, no one was there, but they left me the key. When I arrived at the house, no one had cleaned anything, so the room I was about to occupy was dirty, but I didn't mind cleaning it since I was the one moving in. Anyway, I finished up my room and still had time to clean the rest of the house, since there was dog poop and worms on our backyard. The bathroom was super dirty, and the kitchen and pantry just had a funny, disgusting smell. I pretty much cleaned all the house, and a few days later, my housemates arrived. All 3 of them. Me will be, well, me. EH1 is entitled Housemate 1, EH2 is entitled Housemate 2, and EH3 stands for my friend who also lives with us. When they arrive, they had an argument with me saying there's a schedule to be followed, and everyone would take turns on cleaning parts of the house. Me being friends with the guy that lived there before, he guaranteed me that EH1 and EH2 always bitched about the house being dirty, but never followed the schedule, neither cleaned their mess. Well, EH1 and 2 have a dog, Since they're a couple, they decided to get a dog together, and the dog lives with us in the house. I have a dog myself, and he lives with me at my parents' house and stays with us inside our house, but we take him out for walks, feed him, and clean after him. EH1 and 2 have a small dog, and she is very cute and sweet, but she is a very anxious dog since they lock her up in the kitchen or backyard all day while they're at this coffee place right on the floor beneath our apartment. They wake up at around 12 PM. They don't walk the dog, and they fight over who is going to open the door for the dog to go pee in the backyard. Since they don't care for the dog, she pees and poops in the hallway. She destroys stuff if she gets to enter our rooms, and eats the food out of our plates if we get off the table to get to the door or just to go to the bathroom. In order to correct this behavior, EH1 and 2 beat the dog. I have OCD, and it bothers me to see dirty stuff or to step on pee, and then walk into my room with pee on my shoes. I pay €145 for a small and cold room, and I think I deserve to have at least a hygienic place to live. Anyway, getting tired of EH1 and 2, and my friend EH3 never cleaning their dishes after eating, leaving me no pots, dishes where I could prep my food on, always having the backyard full of poop, my bedroom window has direct access to the backyard and all the smell comes inside, and poop and pee on the floor, and basically just having the house dirty, I decided to clean it myself and take care of the neglected dog because it really bothered me. At first, everyone was okay with it, since everything was clean, the dog was being walked by me, and everything was being taken care of. But since I was paying so much attention to the dog, she actually grew affectionate to me, and since I have a dog of my own, I know how to act around one. It got to a point where the dog would obey only to me and cry at the door in the morning so I could let her in and cuddle with me. P.S. They never took care of feeding her, they just left the food on the bowl, and sometimes the dog would go 2 days without touching and ended up eating her own poop. Anyways, one night EH2 was freaking out over a dirty pot on the sink that filled with water while she cleaned her dishes, and now had wet the counter. She freaked out saying no one does anything around the house, and she always has to clean for others, and I just told her to calm down and put the pot on the counter and leave it for EH3 to clean later. She started yelling at me saying I was dumb because putting a pot full of water on the counter would wet everything, and I said, well, just empty it. Why don't you just empty it and leave it here and calm down, okay? You don't know crap. Shut the frick up. This is what happens when people don't clean their crap. I'm tired of cleaning after everybody. Blah, blah, blah. Well, that's not true. I often come home and find your dirty dishes, and I have to clean them in order to use them. At this point, she loses it, comes toward me and starts yelling like she's my parent. You're just here for a few weeks. You don't know anything. I will talk to you in any way I want. I pay rent, so I will yell with whoever I want to while I'm inside my own house. She splits the $150 with her girlfriend, EH1, and the landlord doesn't know they live together or that they have a dog. You don't know crap. Just go frick yourself. Just frick you and your attitude. After this incident, they started talking trash behind my back to our other friends. EH3 always had my back and always agreed that they were lying, and they were really just jealous of the fact their dog actually liked me more. A few weeks passed by, and I caught them talking trash about my friend who has a very important position in the Students' Association, and I, as a friend, told them there were people conspiring against him and planning to take his position. When they found out he knew, they simply denied, called me a liar and delusional and said they love him, etc. Right now, they have turned most of my course and friends against me, and I want to change universities and just go away, because I'm tired of dealing with this kind of bullcrap around people who just think they're so responsible, but they can't take care of their own dog. Quick note, they didn't beat the crap out of the dog. They aren't monsters. I just found unfair how they would spank her butt, or hit her with the journal and yell at her because she peed on the floor since they didn't take her out for walks. Well, I don't like hearing that, but I guess you gotta call these people out and they're nonsense. Anyway guys, we're on to our next story by Spiked Bike. He's a thief. So this story is pretty old. I was about 16 and working at a farmer's market with my dad. He's been working this market for over 25 years by this point. He's a very well-known man in the community. This will matter later. This woman came up and ordered close to $15 in meats and stuff, and gave me a $100 note. Now, I've known for this tramp for years. Her daughters are bullies, there were always straight up expletives from the time they were in elementary, right up to high school, and everyone avoided that entire family. Before I could even make change, she had left. I'm laughing and saying to myself, "Haha, you stupid bear, hope you don't come back." But of course, I set the money aside and tell my dad and the ladies working for us that if they have this woman come back asking for a change, it's right here. Fast forward about an hour, and the phone rings. I want to speak to, specifically naming my father, now. Damn, woman, alright. I go back to working, and I can overhear only one side of the conversation. "Hello, what can I help you with?" "Oh, really? I see. No, we don't have any thieves working here." "Oh, no. The only other man working here is my son, and there's an envelope-ladled dumb bitch who forgot her money sitting right here on the desk. Might that be yours?" "Alright. Yeah? Alright, I'll see you in a bit. Bye." Beep. So about a week later, this bear comes and apologized. Apparently her whole attempt at telling everyone my family tried to steal from her ended badly, as they had already heard the correct story from my father. Sorry for the long story. I love that. That's good revenge on him. Anyway, our next post is by user Cutakissis, titled, "Need a doctor's note? Sure. Deny unemployment, I have an interesting VM." So this was several years ago. I was working for a medical lab that was contracted out by several doctors' groups in the area. Little bit of backstory. The company was owned and run by a group of men who were very devout in their religious beliefs and practices. It's a beautiful religion, but different from mine. I told them upon hiring that I would be unavailable for 2 hours every Sunday for church. They were a bit miffed, but accepted, at first. Eventually, they decided I needed to be let go for essentially this reason. More on how I know that later. Now, due to unforeseen circumstances, I contracted MRSA. I had to have emergency surgery to save my leg. When I called in sick from the hospital, they said they needed a note from the doctor to keep my job. My doctor was in the room and heard this. I still giggle at the face that he made. This wonderful man made very sure that a note was received. In person, about 2 weeks later, I was terminated. They told me it was because I had MRSA and was a health risk. They assumed I would accept that as cause and not file for unemployment. They were wrong. So I filed. They told unemployment I was fired for making racist jokes about them and disrespecting their religious beliefs and several other very uncool things. The social worker asked me for my side. I simply pulled out my phone and played a 45-minute message. You see, when 3 of these gentlemen sat down for a meeting about me, one of them accidentally butt dialed me, and I had a recording of them planning what they needed to do about me. How dare I turn my phone off for church? How dare I take my sick leave for treating of something that I was exposed to in their lab? How dare I not bend to their wills and simply act as a proper woman should? I watched this very lovely social worker get madder and madder. I got my unemployment and workman's comp. Edit, I very nearly lost my left leg from the knee down from it. I didn't, but big chunks of muscle necrotized out. Edit 2, yes, this really happened. And with that disaster out of the way, we're on to our next story by user Where Is My Cuddly Bear? Titled, Entitled Old Man Threatens to Sue Me for Talking. So I went out to the supermarket to buy some snacks. Right now, no more than 20 people are allowed inside of it, due to social distancing, so there was a long queue in front of it, with huge gaps in between every person waiting. While waiting in line, I was talking with a friend over the phone. I was answering a question about a video game that she had. Note that I wasn't talking very loudly, just in a regular manner. The old man in front of me turns around and starts yelling something, so I take out my headphones to hear him yell that any noise about 45 decibels is a crime punishable by law, that he will sue me if I don't shut up immediately. At first, I ignore him and just continue my phone call, but he doesn't stop yelling at me. So I take off my headphones a second time, tell him that I don't want to talk to him, that what he says is rubbish, and that I will keep on with my conversation. He keeps on yelling, the queue moves, but he doesn't. I tell him to move or I will pass him. He continues to scream at me for talking on the phone. I then pass him. The security guard who was counting the people going in and out, who witnessed everything, lets me in and made him wait until I exited the store again, probably to stop him from going after me and continuing to yell. Doesn't sound like that old man was having a good day, that's for sure. Alright, and our second last story for today is by Friendly Unicorn 2. Entitled Classmate Thinks She Deserves to Go to Prom. It's a boring title, I know. So I'm a junior in high school, and where I go to school, the juniors do everything for prom. We do concessions at all the games to raise money, we do a few other fundraisers, we choose the theme, buy everything with the money we earned, and set it up for the week before prom. First semester, we all agreed to do at least 4 shifts in the concession stand. If we didn't, no going to prom for us. We all agreed, and we all knew about this rule. It's been used for years. The girl that I mentioned before, I'll call her Katie, almost immediately said that she wasn't going to do concessions, and that she would just force her boyfriends to not go since she wasn't going to be allowed to go. Her boyfriend was mad and told her no because it's his senior year, and he wasn't going to just skip his senior prom. Still, she signed up for concessions because there was a part of her that wanted to go to prom, but every day when our class sponsor reminded us who was working the shifts that day, she'd say that she couldn't work. Our sponsor would roll her eyes and say, "Okay, Katie, but you have to find someone to work your shift for you, and you can't ask Opie, Josie, or Jack." The people that I'm calling Josie and Jack are my 2 best friends. The 3 of us pretty much always worked concessions when no one else could because we were available. We didn't play sports and none of us had jobs at this time. But as soon as our sponsor turned her back, Katie would play the innocent act and pretend that we were her best friends. Fast forward to the beginning of this semester. Katie, as she already knew, wasn't going to prom. She had already said that she was okay with that since she didn't want to work concessions. But late January, she decided that she did want to go to prom. So our prom committee, the people who chose some themes and stuff for our class to vote on for prom, were told this, and they were also told that they had to vote on whether or not she could go to prom. They all agreed that she couldn't, and then our class was told that we would vote too. But for some reason, our principal decided that he would override all of that. He didn't allow us to vote because apparently Katie's parents had been going to him endlessly for a week or 2, complaining that their baby girl wasn't being allowed to go to prom, even though nothing was put in writing stating that she had to work however many shifts or else that she couldn't go. He decided that he would let her go to the prom without asking or telling anyone, not even our class sponsor. Joke's on her though. She spent $800 on her prom dress and now can't go because it's cancelled because of everything that's going on right now. And she can't return the dress either. God, that has got to burn. Anyway guys, we're on to our last story of the day. By user Gemini Princess 5135. 6 feet? What is wrong with you? So I feel like this belongs here, and just correct me if I am wrong. And sorry for any spelling errors. I work in a deli at a grocery store, and so I am an essential employee. At me work, we are taking the COVID-19 seriously as we can, but the 6 feet distancing rule is hard to follow. We need to be close enough to the customers and to hand them their orders, as well as the cashiers need to be able to hand their customers their change and receipts and such. So to the story. Yesterday I was at work, and I finally had a lunch break, and I grabbed something quick from the freezer section. I spot a register that only has 1 person in line, and they are nearly done. I quickly jump in that line so I can actually enjoy my lunch and not wait in line for most of it. As I approached the line, I recognized the woman, as she came to the deli a lot. I dropped my food on the register and smiled at the lady. She then jumped back and basically screeched at me, "6 feet? What's wrong with you?" For a second, I was stunned. I didn't realize I wasn't 6 feet away, but I had actually forgotten about since most of my day was spent in the deli, where I couldn't social distance. But I was also a good 4 feet at least from her, so her actions surprised me. Feeling embarrassed for being yelled at, I apologized, saying, "Sorry ma'am, I wasn't thinking." She then sneered loudly, "Well, not thinking on one of these days is going to get you killed." I meekly apologized again, and the cashier also apologized. telling the woman she didn't see what happened as she had her back turned to get her change. The woman then grabbed her change for the cashier, so obviously 6 feet distance rule broken there, and stormed off while muttering about people needing to take this more seriously. As the cashier rang up me lunch, she asked me what happened. I simply replied that I had closer than 6 feet. She was stunned that the lady freaked out over such a little thing, and we both agreed that if she was worried about getting sick, she shouldn't have been at the grocery store to start with. Honestly, I was just happy the woman didn't try to get me in trouble with my manager or anything, since technically I was in the wrong for being farther away from her. Sorry it wasn't more dramatic of an ending. Doesn't have to be. You know, not all stories are just call the police, go to court, see the surveillance, you broke the laws, Karen, run. Anyway, I hope you guys had a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to. Tell me what you thought about this episode. I do really like reading entitled people out. Does get draining after some time, I'll admit, but I know you guys really like these entitled stories. So I'm open to your suggestions, whatever you want to say to me. Anyway guys, I hope you have had a good day, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!